some of you don't even know who I am. I mean, I told you my name is Chef Jeff, but that might not mean anything to you. So let's just get to know each other for a minute. I've been in Chattanooga for almost 5 years. For 5 years now, I've got 3 beautiful little girls, a beautiful wife, and really in a great life. I'm not going to lie, even through COVID, I mean, we're working hard, but we've got a great life. And my wife is a pastry chef, so we own the sweet and savory classroom. So my wife is the sweet, I'm the savory, and together we both love to teach. So that's who we are. We became this classroom here, and it's really been just a really, really fun time. And you'll see me. Well, you don't see me out much because, you know, the best restaurant in town for me is at my house, Shea Pennypacker. But you'll see me here at the classroom, and we'll be opening back up one day soon, probably in July. So if you've got kids and you want to do kids camps, we're starting with some kids stuff in July and adult stuff as well. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I'm a pretty simple guy, and I love teaching. I love being here with you, and I love spending time with my family. And I think we're learning to grow things. That's when you do in your home a lot, is you just get pots and plants and planters and you grow things. So I shoved some strawberry seeds in some dirt earlier today. I said a prayer, and hopefully we're going to have strawberries. That'd be so cool. Wouldn't it be cool? But all right, so that's enough about me. But if you want to get to know me better, you're welcome to ask questions, and I'll tell you how to do that here in just a minute. So let's do that. Let's talk about the housekeeping part of the evening. Very important things for you to know. So after that, then let's talk about some food stuff. Okay. So food stuff. Right here. I think it's clear. So are they seeing both cameras right now? Okay, cool. So right here, this is my food tray. And so my food tray has all like stuff measured out and things like that. And so that's what you want to do. If you haven't done this already, this is called mise en place. You want to get all your stuff measured out for your recipes and opened up. I didn't do my mise en place, y'all. I didn't open my stuff. So I'll get to that when it's time. But you want to have it measured out. Here, there's one of mine. Here's my tart. Maybe I should tell you, this is the most important. This is the one we're doing first. So the tart dough. And so you might want to have all the stuff for the tart kind of set out and set aside so that you're ready to go in when I am, because I'm about to hit the gong. We'll start cooking here in just a minute, and then so do that, and also don't forget to stay clean and sanitary. Staying clean and sanitary is probably the thing we need to do the most right now. And so I keep this commercial grade sanitizer in my red bucket with a towel in it, and I use it. I pull my towel out all the time and use it to wipe it down, use it to wipe, wring it out, use it to wipe down my station. And so that helps me stay clean and sanitary. So at home, what you want to do is, if you've got something like this, that's great. Most time I just use like a bowl of Dawn, or I fill up a sink and put some hot soapy water with some Dawn in it, or I do a bowl or something, or a bucket, so that I always have something to help clean as you go. And you're definitely going to want to be cleaning as you go this evening. So there you have it. Okay. So that's just kind of like getting ready. Now I also have my pots and pans and all that kind of stuff. Maybe y'all can switch to Clay's camera right here, and you can just get a picture of like this, the whole table, and show them what's happening on Clay's camera, and see I have all my equipment sitting out ready to go. So I've got a mixer. Now if you don't have a KitchenAid, you can do it by hand. That's not a problem. If you got a hand mixer, that will work too. That's for doing egg whites. Now I use portable burners, but you have your stove. And I have some plates and things, so I probably forgot a couple of things. So that's just life. All right. And then I think that's all the technical things before we get going. So now the last thing I like to do before we get going is just to pray. And you know, some of you know me. There's 8 new people out there who don't know me, and so what I want you to know about me is, yes, I love some Jesus, right? But you may not. You may not know him at all. That's cool. You may pray to a different God. You know what? I still love you. It's not a problem. So I don't want to have any disrespect to your faith or your beliefs. But I just like to take a time to just, ask a blessing, say a prayer. You pray to whoever you pray to. I'll pray to whoever I pray to. Mute me. You can just shut off the audio for a minute or so if you don't want to hear it at all. But other than that, that's because I love you. I never want to disrespect or push myself on you. But we're going to pray. I'm praying. So do whatever you're going to do over there. I'm praying over here. And so, Jesus, Father, thank you so much for everything that's happened over this time working with Erlanger, that to see the love and the support and the friends bonding as they kind of come together to do something beyond themselves, and that's really gorgeous to see. And I've seen that a lot over these couple of, I don't even know how long it's been, that you've seen these people come together and do amazing things. And I'll tell you, I'll be, just like an honest thing. I was supposed to leave for a mission trip on Saturday morning, and the Thursday before it got canceled because of the COVID things just kind of started. And then the next morning they shut the schools down. And so I thought I was going on this big mission trip, and I realized that actually the mission really is all around us. And we've seen that with the community coming together, and what a beautiful thing to see that. It's gorgeous. But you know what? There's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people who are financially hurting, a lot of people who are physically hurting, and a lot of people who are emotionally and spiritually deprived and hurting right now. And I just pray, like I said earlier, maybe just reach out to some people you haven't talked to in a while, and just call them up and say, I love you. And that would be amazing. So that's my prayer for us today, that we would, even though as we reopen, we wouldn't forget those who are still hurting, because some people aren't coming out yet, and maybe they need some love and support too. And especially for tonight. Tonight we're here to honor and to the first responders, the people who are in our healthcare system, that are on the front lines, fighting for your life and fighting for my life. They might not be fighting for them right this moment, because maybe I'm not there in the hospital and you're not there in the hospital, but right now they're fighting for someone's life. You should pray for them, and because they need it. And so I ask all this in Jesus' name, amen. So I've got my bacon. Now I've got a little piece of puff pastry. And so for you out there, if you bought puff pastry in the grocery store, you need to pull out of the freezer about right now. Right, and so we're gonna do two things right now. If your puff pastry is frozen, pull it out of the freezer, and most likely if you got it from the grocery store, it's a Pillsbury box, and it's actually folded up. So when you bring it out, set it on the table and don't try to unfold it. It'll thaw pretty quickly, and so every couple minutes, maybe you flip it over and move it to a new spot, like a warmer spot on your table, and then you want to let it soften before you try to open it, or else it's going to crack and break right on it's right on the folds. Okay, so that's thing number one. Thing number two is turn your oven on to 425 degrees. Everybody right now, turn your oven on to 425 degrees. 3, 2, 1, turn it on. All right. My oven is on. Your oven should be on. So there's my puff pastry. I'm going to pull mine out. So mine's already cut in the squares. You can make this whatever size you want to be honest. Oh, I cut through it. Oops. Guess that my knife is sharp. And then, so there's my two pieces of puff, and we'll talk about those here in just a few minutes. My other ingredients I have, you're going to need a small bowl. So I've got some oil, flour, ricotta, sour cream, but we're going to start with the old onion. All right. So the onion, if you can see that dirty end right there. I know a lot of people tell you to keep that thing on, but I'm not a proponent of that dirty end, because this one looks pretty clean, but a lot of times there's some dirt and things in there. And also not a proponent of, here's why, right there. I don't know if you can see that drop, but things are just like pieces of this onion skin just drop off into on your cutting board, and you chase them around, and it's maddening, right? Because you can't get rid of them. So we're going to cut them. We're going to cut all the dirt off and then clean our cutting board so it's just out of the way. So here I've got my onion, and I'm only using half an onion. Some of you have a whole one. That's fine. Cut that end off, cut the other end off. And then if your onion is whole, you want to go ahead and cut it in half and get to the same spot I'm at. All right. So I do see one chat. I do not like the dirty end. Excellent. I don't like the dirty end either. Is that Daphne? Fantastic. All right. And then from here, you're going to peel it. So it peels so much easier when it's cut in half. There's other ways to do it as well, but when it's cut in half, peels super easy. So that's coming down, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all that stuff. All right, make sure there's no dirt. Make sure there's no anything of the peel left, right? Because there's little bits of peel. If you prepare your station well, then you don't have to worry about chasing that stuff around all the time. So from here, oh, look at that. I can see the camera, let me get there. That's where I need to be, right there. You see that? See those lines in it? That's the grain. And most everything has grain, whether you're cutting meat or doing things. So the grain's really important to know where it's at. And so for this, you need to know how an onion is structured. If I cut, so right now, my fingers are the grain. Right? If my fingers are the grain, and I cut across the grain, it makes small pieces. Right? When it makes small pieces, then it makes it easier for you to chew. So that's good if you're cutting meat, but not if you're cooking an onion, because right now, because it's small pieces, they cut across the grain, it'll break apart really easy. So by the time I'm done cooking it, it'll be soft. Okay? I don't want you to have that. So and I just want to pause and stop for a second and tell you what I'm doing right now. So what I'm doing right now is teaching you what we call take-home skills. But you're already at home. So this is to use at home skills, okay? Use at home skills are for you to, things that you can master at home because they apply to all of your cooking. And this is one of them, just knowing where the grain is. And you want to apply this to all your cooking at home. So I'm going to cut with the grain because when you cut with the grain, it makes something really strong. Now think about that when it comes to a piece of meat. See, it's so much stronger. That's a great camera angle, what you got right there. That is, it's strong, and we want to hold up while we're cooking. So that's wonderful. See, like I'm pulling on it, and it's not even breaking. That's with the grain. This is against the grain. Ooh, it just came right apart. Same amount of tension. I mean, like, there, finally it broke. And so this will actually help it hold up longer while you're cooking, and that's really important. So now, I'll give you a 30-second knife skills tutorial. Ready? 30-second knife skills tutorial. I want you to take your knife. I want you to pinch right there on the blade. I want you to pinch, and I want these 3 fingers to grab the handle. All right? We call this the pinch and grab. So once you do that, take the tip of your knife and stick it on the cutting board. And a lot of times people try to cut with the food way up here, right? And that's not what we want to do. You want to take the food, and this is the part that should be rocking. Okay? That's the rocking part. So slide your food all the way back. This is the cutting end right here. The food should be way back here. And we're just going to slice through this onion. Nice and thin. The thinner the better, because then it'll cook faster. And when I get to about halfway, my fingers start to slide off because it's curved. I'm going to push that onion down, keep that curve pointing away from my fingers so that as I start slicing, if I were to slip, it would actually direct the knife away from my knuckles. And that's a good spot. And then when I get to the end, you know what? I may just let go. There's no sense in holding on to that little bit to try to get it and get your finger instead. So onion is ready. Then we're going to take our bacon. Look at that bacon. We had to get a different kind. I'll tell you what, pray for our supply chain too, because supply chain has been, it's been harder to get stuff. No lie, it's been a lot harder to get things. I had to go to a couple stores yesterday to get things, and so we got different bacon, but it looks good. I think I'm going to be happy with it. And so here we're going to take our bacon. You're just going to cut slices. Now make sure you slide your knife through. Right? Now I'll show you something neat. I do this in my knife skills class. So if I can plug, we're going to have knife skills class next month. So if you want to see some other cool things, knife skills is a great one. But look, I'm squeezing that knife. I'm squeezing it hard, right? And nothing's going to happen. But as soon as I pull that knife and slide it, I'd cut all my fingers. Agreed? Yeah, don't try that at home, please. Don't try that at home. But why I tell you that is because if you just go up and down with your knife, nothing happens. Cutting, it's a verb. It's a motion. So you may need to make sure your knife is sliding through, especially with something fatty like this, right? When something is fatty like bacon, your knife can slip and slide a lot. Like if you just push down, it doesn't want to go through and you can get your fingers. So we're cutting it nice and thin. Okay. Trying to keep it from going off the floor. Again, when you get to the end, just let go. It's not worth it. Not worth it. So now I've got my bacon, onion, and really everything else. I'm ready to start cooking. So Y'all ready? You ready to start cooking? You ready to start cooking? Because it's time to start cooking. So we're gonna get your pan out. Let's come over here. Rebecca. And so this right here is a Lodge carbon steel pan. I like the carbon steels. I also been really enjoying some of their new Black Lock series because it's pure cast iron, but it's a lot lighter. This one is the carbon steel, and so it's a pretty light pan. Heats up really quick, cools down quickly, but it's just beautiful. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna turn this burner on, maybe. You know, it would help if you had a little gas. It would help. Let's put some gas in there. There we go. Not yet. Now we got a flame. Whew. Yeah. You think there's a quote in a book. I can't remember the lady's name. I'd give her credit if I could remember. But she says, every once in a while, cooking will make you feel like a beginner again. Right? And it just kind of goes to show that no matter how long you've been cooking, every once in a while you still burn something. It still makes you feel like a beginner again. Like right now, like I didn't have any gas in my stove. What were you thinking? Right? But so we saute. We have 8 new people. We have 8 new people in here. So we got to do it. Anytime there's new people, we got to do it. This is my claim to fame right here. So you new people, are you ready? Because you know what? If you remember how we saute, if you know how to saute, go ahead and raise your hand right now. If you wanna help me with the dance, go ahead and raise your hand because come on, we got to show these people. Anybody? So ready? Everyone, want you to put your hands up just like this. All right. Can you see everybody? There we go. So we saute in 3 steps. You heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. Now you're supposed to be doing it at home. I know a couple of you aren't got your hands up. So ready? Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. Ready? Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food, heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the. Okay. Heat the pan, heat the fat, right? Now, put your hands down. You all look like fools. All of you. You're total fool over there. But when you make a fool of yourself, you'll never forget it, right? Now, we do that with a bunch of people in class. I'm smoking up the house right now. Okay, my pan is really hot. But why I do that is because it's something that I want you to learn how to saute properly. Like, don't let your pan get super hot and burn everything like I'm about to do. But when you heat the pan and you heat the fat and then you heat the food, it helps with just the science of cooking. So right now we're gonna go in, right? I heated the pan, right? My pan is nice and hot. And just to show you the whole thing, is when I put some cooking fat in here. So cooking fat, it could be olive oil, bacon, grease, lard, all kinds of stuff, right? I'm gonna put my fat in there and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let it get hot, and then I'm gonna add my food. Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. They are 3 separate steps, y'all. 3 separate steps. And that's what I want you to know. And I'll tell you why here in a second. So let me get this in here. Because when you're done, I want you to walk away saying, I learned something. That's like, you know what, if we burn everything, I don't care. But if you walk away and say, I burned everything, but I learned something, then my job is done. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab a pair of tongs. There we go. Now we're cooking. Smelling like bacon. Clay, you and me got the best spot right here. It's just bacon all over. And so you heat the pan, you heat the fat, you heat the food for one specific reason, is to keep the momentum up so that you can evaporate moisture effectively. Because moisture makes all of your food stick. But if you heat the pan first and then you heat the fat and then you add the food to it, what that does is it allows the pan to stay ahead of the game, so that you hear that sizzle. Can you hear that sizzle? All right. Is that a good sizzle? They got some nice audio going on. All right, Jeff, you want some of that sizzle? Come on now. I whisper things to Jeff on audio when he puts his things on. Yeah, but what's that? I don't know. We're just having a good time, y'all. We're just having a good time. So when your moisture evaporates effectively or fast, then what happens is your food will release from the pan. So moisture makes your food stick, and when you get rid of that moisture pretty quickly, it makes everything happen faster. So my bacon is about halfway done, And I'm going to go ahead and add the onions. We're going to stir those in. And while they're cooking, we're going to clean up, and we're going to get our tart ready. My oven beeped and it said it's ready. If you forgot to turn your oven on, like you were thinking about it and then you forgot, good time to remember. Turn your oven on to 425 degrees, and we will make this happen. So get them the loose stuff off the side of my table. Looking good, looking good. Just keep that cooking. So now you want to clean the rest of clean your station up. Clean your knife, sanitize your cutting board. Make your kids wash the cutting board, whoever's at home, right? The only reason we have kids is to, I hear to give us grandbabies, but my kids are too young for that. So my kids are just there to cook and clean, and they have their morning routine. One gets all the vitamin gummies out. The other one, she fills the dog food. Then they help me get the oatmeal ready in the morning. So it's a pretty cool thing with having 3 little girls, 5 and under. All right. So we're just going to keep that cooking for just another minute or so. And then while it's doing that, let's get our tart ready. All right. So the tart, we want to do this. This is puff pastry. All right. And so the puff pastry is what we want to do is we want to leave puff pastry. It's supposed to rise up. It's supposed to puff. So the way puff pastry works, it's layers of butter and flour and butter and flour and butter and flour. And so there's no actual leavener. There's no yeast. There's no egg whites. There's nothing to like make it rise other than water. Water is a great leavener. So it's like hundreds, probably I think, would there be 126 layers? Don't quote me on that one. It's in the 120 or 130 something layers of butter and flour. They roll it out really thin, and then they fold it and do all this stuff, and you end up getting all these layers. And so when you put this in the oven and the heat hits it, well, what happens when water gets hot? Well, it turns to steam, and it goes and it rises, and that's what makes a puff pastry puff, right? And so we want the edges to puff on our tart, but not the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to dock it. So if we look down here, I'm going to do about a finger's width border. So I'm going to come in here and just use my finger as a guide, and then I'm doing a finger's width border on the puff pastry. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the middle, and I'm just pressing down with a fork, basically breaking up the layers so that the steam can escape, and so the middle stays down and leaving the edge alone, so it will rise again. Okay. Not after 3 days, but after about 20 minutes in the oven. All right, stir my onions here. All right, so that's ready. Let's set that aside. Then I'm to take a small bowl and a spoon. And we're going to take the rest of your ingredients. So I have sour cream. Little teaser. Did you know that you're going to conquer something today? If you didn't know you're going to conquer something today, well, I'm about to tell you that you're about to conquer something. I'll tell you what we're going to conquer in a little bit. And so we're going to you have your sour cream, ricotta, oil, and flour. Then I'm going to also grab a touch of salt and pepper. I'm excited. I got a buddy. When we opened, he made all these pottery things, like these salt and pepper cellars. He made some other stuff in the house. All kind of had our color scheme. And he's actually in his car coming to visit. So pretty excited about that. And so there we have all those ingredients in, and I want you to mix it. But don't just mix and stop. Flour takes time to hydrate. And since flour takes time to hydrate, I want you to go ahead and mix it, and then mix it, and then mix it, and mix it. Sing a song, mix it some more. Flour takes time to hydrate. It's not an immediate thing. Now I know a couple of you, we had a special class a couple days ago, and we did a version of this tart, and yes. And so yeah, this is actually the original version. I did a little different for you guys the other night, but here it is. It's about to all go together. We have your cream mixture. I want you to pour that right on top of the holes, the docked area. That's what we're looking for. I'll get it all out. You're at home. Give it a taste. It's pretty good. Now don't share this with anybody. That'd be bad. That's pretty good. That's really good. Okay. Ted, can I get a bus tub? I forgot things. I forgot. I must have been, I don't know what happened today. I forgot all kinds of things today. As long as is my head still attached to my body? Is it still attached? Okay. Whew. So I should have spread that around a little bit before I licked it, but hey, it's just more dishes to do a little bit later. I just need my kids to get old enough to come down here and do dishes. Now that would be fantastic. All right, so we're gonna take your bacon and onions and put them over there while I light my arm on fire. Look at all that goodness. Now, here's a cool tip for you. The carbon steel pan is an amazing pan to cook in. And look at all that good, greasy, beautiful bacon grease at the bottom. Well, as long as we get all the pieces out, right? If we get all the pieces out, then we can reuse this pan. And there's nothing wrong with just leaving some of that bacon grease in. And that might be a lot for our next dish. So I might pour some out when we start the next one. But why throw that away? That'd make me cry. Oh yeah. Yeah, let's do that. How about this? All right, a couple of you I heard missed the docking portion. So you know what? Let's just go over it. Let's go over it again. You ready? So here is my tart dough. All right, there's one. There was two. All right, we got that somewhere. There we go. We got one. We got two. And so I dotted, right? Here's my fork. I dotted around, kind of like made a border. And then I dotted the middle with the fork. So yeah, so you had the whole middle, but I left this border was untouched, unscathed by the fork, okay? So that it can puff up. And if you look at mine, some of my stuff is running a little bit. Better go catch it. And so the edges will puff up before it gets done in the oven. All right? Did that get you? Questions answered? Because that's what I'm here for. I want you to, if you have more questions, please let me know in the Q&A. In the Q&A, I'm happy to answer all your questions. And we're about to go. We are oven bound. Okay? Check with my crew. I'm getting this vibe from the crew, like there's another question I need to answer. Are we good? I got it. Okay, cool. So there we are. We're going in the oven, 425 degrees. Set a timer. Les, I'm going to tell them the timer rules in a minute because I know you're going to ask. Okay. All right. I'm going to set a timer for 12 minutes on that one. So in 12 minutes, will it be done? No. Let me give you a little tip about cooking. All those recipes at home that you make, if you make recipes at home, a lot of those recipes will say like, cook it for this long or whatever. Well, here's two things. One, I never set a timer for as long as it does in a recipe. If the timer says it takes 30 minutes to cook, I'm cutting that in half. I'm always going to probably cut it in half so that I can check the food and see how it's doing, right? Maybe I might need to actually spin the tray around so that the browning becomes even. So that's one thing I always do. And then I always set timers. Always set timers. And then the last thing, especially here, and you come to the classroom, imagine 28 people here cooking, and a timer starts going off, and you've got that guy or that gal is like, I can't stand it beeping in my head. So they just go over there and they they go boop, and they turn it off. Well, I still love you. Okay, I'll still love you. But if you turn off a timer, you are responsible for whatever that timer was for. So you're responsible if it's cooked perfect, or if it burns. If you turn off a timer, it's now your food. So you better know what it was for. I heard a quote by John Maxwell. I love listening to John Maxwell's leadership and such. And I've trained with their team. I was one of the founding members of the coaching and speaking team, and I just love his leadership. And it was a quote that he said one day is like, never tear down a fence until you first find out why it was built. I just think about that. So never turn off a timer until you first know what it's for, right? It applies in my own little world. Okay, so we're done with this. We're not done with this pan, but we're going to set it aside for a little bit later, and so that we can use it. So it's going to go over here since it's hot. And then our next thing, we need to get ready to do souffle. So that means if you got a mixer, get a mixer. If you're doing it by a whisk and a bowl, I'm sorry for your triceps and your arm, shoulder, because it's going to get a beating, but we'll make it happen. And I'm going to get set up now too. So you get set up, I'll get set up, and we'll make souffle. What's cool is every once in a while you can just be like, hey, put me on mute for a second, right? And so I want to tell the crew how wonderful I think all of you are doing. I bet you are doing wonderful on your side. Are you having fun yet? Are you having a great time? Please let us know in the chat room if you're having a great time. I love the feedback. I'm just talking to the camera. Like that's all I get to see is just like the whole camera thing. So if you're having a great time, you know what? Give me a shout out. Let me know. Let me know how the crew's doing too. Because the crew back here, all the video, audio, everything that's going on, let them know how great they're doing. Because it looks like it's good on my side. All righty, here we go. Plug my mixer in. Hey now, it was on. Get the rest of my ingredients out. You will need a burn. What are you gonna do? So I have my burner. And oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, cool. And this, and this, and where's my pot? Ah, there's my pot. Cool. Okay, y'all. All right, excellent, Patty. Hey, Patty, good to see you. Even though we're doing this again, I love it. All right, y'all. So this is going to come up about 1,000 times right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and just let you know right now. This is powdered sugar. The powdered sugar is for sifting right before we eat. So this powdered sugar, you're going to ask me like, hey, did we put the powdered sugar in? And I'm going to say no, because we haven't. The powdered sugar is not going in right now. You know what? Just set it aside and forget about it. Right? Just forget about it for a little while. Okay? It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. Totally gone. All right? And then, so I get the rest of my ingredients. I've got my milk. The milk is going to go right into this stainless steel pot, and we're going to scald the milk. Different from scolding your children, we're going to scald the milk. Okay, we'll get that started here in just a second. So I'm just getting everything opened up. All right. Well, so here we go. We're going to make your souffle has two parts. It has a top and a bottom, or I call it like a base and a top. It's got those two parts. We're going to make the base first. And so the base consists, just get your recipe out. You need this guy. Hopefully you've got this guy, and so it's important. So we're going to turn to the souffle. And my souffle says butter. We're going to skip step number 1. We'll do step number 1. It says butter the bottom and sides of a souffle dish. Well, we'll do that in just a few minutes. We're going to go to step number 2. In a stainless steel bowl, whisk together the egg yolks and sugar first. Right, so I guess we need to separate our eggs. I'm gonna grab a separate little bowl here. And here's how I like to separate eggs. I'd like to do it with my hands. So I always crack my eggs on a flat surface. So I crack them and then open them up right into my hand. And we're gonna separate the eggs. All right, so there's my bowl. I need how many egg yolks for this one? I'm going to do the 2-person, so I'm going to do 2 egg yolks. All right? It's hard to do 1.5 yolks. Who wrote that recipe? I did. Okay. So I'm going to do 2. You know what? If you want to do an extra egg yolk, you can. It won't hurt anything. It actually will add a lot of flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and boost it up to 3 just because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it tonight. Make sure you get all the white off. Now, if your egg breaks, I can show you to get some of the yolk out, but we want to try to keep the egg whites clean with no egg yolk in them. This one's being tricky. Come on. Oh, come on now. Just won't get that last bit of white off. It's the most stubborn egg I've had in a long time. Being an egghead. There. All right, so there's 3. Now I need the more whites, so I'm going to go ahead and crack this 4th one I've got because I want more egg whites. So if you're wondering at home why you have more eggs than you need, is because you need yolks for the base, but you actually need more egg whites for the top. You can save your extra yolks for breakfast tomorrow morning. All right, but now I got a bunch of egg whites still inside of some of these cups. All right, so I'm just going to scrape all the egg white out because I want it. Oop, I don't want that though. So get all that out. Clean your hands up. All right, set the egg whites to get set aside. So the recipe says to mix together your egg yolks and the sugar first. And something I learned in the past 2 years probably, it might have been less, that if you just take sugar and you have two amounts of sugar, so let's make sure we get the right one. It should be the larger amount, right? So the larger volume is the sugar that goes in here. And if you take sugar and pour it on your egg yolks, and then we sit here and talk for a couple of minutes, what's going to happen? The egg yolks, they call it burning. So they actually, it's a term used for what the egg yolks will start to take the sugar will chemically react with the yolk, and it makes the yolk like into hard pieces, almost like it cooks it, and they call it burning. So you don't want to burn that. So go ahead and get them mixed together as soon as they touch, and that'll give you better end products when you're doing anything later. So that's where we're at. And then it says to add the flour, and we're going to add the flour. And your recipe, I'm not sure if it says to add the salt or not, but go ahead and add the salt. I feel like that gets left off sometimes. So mix all that together, and then turn on your milk. Your milk won't take very long. Okay, are you with me? Are we together? Do you have this done? If you don't, you need to start. Just don't freak out. Take a breath. Okay? Take a breath. And it'll come together here in just a minute. All right, I need a little space. So that goes with that. This goes over here. Butter goes with that. And done. Now, if you can see in my bowl a little bit, all right? Ooh. My milk, we're going to scald the milk. And so what that means, I put my milk in here, and my milk is already scalded. Okay? So what happens, I put the milk in here. Okay? I'm slowing down, y'all. So Janet asked, how many egg whites do we need? Well, if you look at the recipe, depending on which recipe you're doing, that's how many egg whites. You actually can weigh them, measure them by volume. I think for the serves 2, you need about a half a cup, and for the serves 4, you'll do about a cup, maybe a little bit more. Okay. All right. So we're going to recap. I heard some people need a little recap, which is totally great. We have egg yolks in the bowl, egg yolks, sugar, flour, and salt. Egg yolks, sugar, flour, and salt. they're in here, and I'm mixing them up. And then in the pot here, I scalded my milk. And so what that means is I took the milk, I put it in there, and you don't stir it. So what happens is the milk is going to, as the milk gets hot, a skin's going to form on the top, and then pressure breaks at its weakest point. So right around the edge, like right around the edge of the pot, is where the pressure will break, and you'll see these tiny little bubbles all around the edge. As soon as you see tiny little bubbles, turn it off, and it's done. It's ready for the next step, right? And so my milk is scalded, and we're gonna temper these two together in just a minute. But I hear a timer going off, which means I gotta check my tart. Your timer is probably going off too. If we were together, that means your timer is beeping. So let's all check our tart. Ooh, okay. So is that good? Good shot right there. All right. Oh, I see where it's coming from. Look at that. No, that's good. He was all over. Okay, so the tart. I'm looking for brown around the outside, but I'm looking for more than just that. So I want to pick my tart up, and you want to look underneath. I've got some light brown underneath, but you want to get basically brown underneath and to the middle. And I can tell it's still a little soft. But if you, we're going to get you a really close camera. Can we do that? So can you see those? Can you see all those layers in the side right there? See all those layers? Yeah, those are all the layers I was talking about. That's the steam heating up, and it's pushing the pastry up, making it rise. And so it's still a little soft. So I want to make sure it gets hot in the middle, brown around the outside, and brown all the way underneath. And then it'll taste really good. If it's soggy, it doesn't taste as good. I'd rather you go a little darker than a little lighter, and I think you'll enjoy it better. So I'm also going to flip the tray around to make sure I get even browning. So meaning I spun it in the oven. I'm going to do another 5 and give it a check. Okay, I'm going to give it a check. Depending on how many you're doing at your house, it could take longer or shorter. Like I might have two little tarts in that oven. It's going to cook really fast. But if I had like 4, 8, or 12 tarts in my oven, it would take a lot longer. So now we're transitioning back to souffle. If y'all are ready, I'm ready. I'll teach you a little trick. One of my favorite kitchen hacks. Okay, let's take a towel, and I'm using a wet towel. So I take my towel and go ahead and pull the ends, and wad it up. Wind it up just like you used to do in the high school locker room. All right, so all the guys have a fight, and then you take it and put it down on the table, and I'm going to tie a little knot. This is what we call the bowl nest. So you can put the bowl in. See the bowl, if I try to whisk it, it just goes, mine's out of control. And so I'm going to put that nest right there. So now I can go and make it a little tighter. This is a French whisk. The thing is heavy. I mean, it weighs like 3 pounds. This is how you get your workout in the kitchen. So now I should be able to go close to hands-free. Now I only have a little bit of liquid, so I'm going to pour. If you're uncomfortable pouring, get you a ladle. Right, get you a ladle so that you can be comfortable with it. But here's what I want you to see. Can we get a top down for this one? Okay, and yeah. So can I move over a little bit? Yeah, get that right. All right. So what I want you to see on this one is how to temper. So tempering is bringing two things together slowly. And when sometimes you do it for different reasons. Sometimes you do it for temperature, sometimes you do it for texture, sometimes you do it for both. And so for this one, this is for temperature and texture, because if you add hot milk to the eggs too fast, they'll curdle. So that's one. That's the temperature part. And if you add the milk to the flour, the liquid to the flour too fast, you'll get lumps, and so that would be your texture part. So you got these two things going on. All right, and so. I see some questions. Let me go ahead and answer your questions. Darlene, yes. Darlene, the salt is in with the sugar and the yolks. Correct. So Darlene, all I have now, I have 2 things left, really. Well, I have 3. I have chocolate. But yes, does the baking soda go in too? You should not have baking soda in your kit, Candy. There is no baking soda in your kit. What you're seeing, Candy, is probably powdered sugar. Give it a taste. I bet you what you're seeing is baking soda is powdered sugar. And that is the stuff that I said, take and set aside. There's my powdered sugar, right? Take it and set it aside. That's for later. Okay. All right. So, Janet, you're still separating eggs, girl. You got to get this party started, girl. You need some help. All right, everyone. Hey, everyone, give Janet a word of encouragement. She's still separating some eggs. Please, this is why we're here for you. Okay, I'll take a second here and I'll temper slowly. Okay, I'll temper slowly. Okay, so tempering is where you bring these two things together. And so here's my rule with tempering. One, you add just a little bit. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of milk, and then if you can see, right, you can see yellow and white. So that means there's two different things in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and whisk them together until they become one. There can be only one. Someone know that reference? Every once in a while, someone knows my corny little jokes. Okay. All right. So then now once they become one, I can add a little bit more milk. And we're going to mix them together again until they become one. And that means I've got stuff stuck to my bowl. I've got like flour and things still kind of stuck to my bowl. I want to make sure I get all that out. Janet, I'm hoping my tart timer is going to go off in a minute. It's going to hopefully give you a little extra time, okay? A little extra breathing room. And then I'm going to continue to add my milk. There. Now, when it's nice and runny, it means I'm what I call past the lump stage. So flour has a point in which it's been, there's enough liquid in here that the flour is it's not pasty anymore, and we're past the lump stage. So I should be able to drizzle this in. Oh yeah. Drizzle it. So it's all in. And then watch. It's like a magic trick. You're going to take it and you're going to pour it back into your pot. Get it all back in your pot. Okay, I'm going for the tarts, y'all. They're going to follow me. I heard with what you said? All right, Clay, sweet. Clay, I'm going for the tart. You coming over? Okay. Or wherever you're going to be. Standing there. Oh, you can follow me with the camera. That's fantastic. All right. Ready? I'm going to turn my timer off. I'm responsible. And then I'm going to go ahead and open my oven. Ooh, look at that beauty. Okay. And so it's brown on top. And I'm going to go ahead and take something else so I don't burn the daylights out of my fingers. I want you to see underneath. Is that a good tilt for you? All right. And so underneath, it's brown all the way through the bottom, through the middle. Nice, even, golden brown. So my tart is done. Okay. So we're going to let your tart cool for just a minute while we finish this souffle. Okay, everybody? Now, the oven is done. Turn it off. My oven is turned off. Oh, look at that beautiful tart. All right. So now, y'all, we're coming back to this pot. And so I'm going to teach you how to stir. Very important. There's spots where you'll burn in a pot. So I'm going to take the tip of this, the whisk, and make sure and get it in the corner of where the pot and the bottom come together, right? And so I call it the corner. And you want to check that door, Ted? So you do that. I do the outside, inside, outside, inside. So I'm going to turn, my heat is on high. I'm going to turn it down to about medium just because it's coming up around the sides of the bowl. All right. So we're going to go outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside. And you can't stop. Once you get started, you just can't stop. It's kind of like dancing. Once you start dancing, I mean, you just can't stop. Okay. If you've got young kids, and even if you're an adult, it doesn't matter. Can I tell you something fun that we do at my house? Okay, while I'm doing this, is I bought on Amazon for like $20 a little USB plug-in disco ball. No lie. Okay, and mine's getting really hot. I'm starting to get some sticking in the bottom. I got to pause because what's happening? I need to turn my heat down and stay in control. But the goal is for us to basically make pudding in here. You should get to a pudding consistency in here and end up on low temperature. So when you start to get a little thick, turn your temperature down. right? And as it keeps getting thicker and thicker, turn your temperature down and keep whisking hard, whisking like a madman or a madwoman, okay? So that it stays nice and smooth and you don't get any lumps. And as long as you're whisking hard and you turn your heat down, which mine is done, you should end up with pudding in the middle, pudding in here, and you should end up on low temperature. So back what I was saying is I got this disco ball, and I just go ahead and tell Alexa to play Kids Bop, and Kids Bop turns on, disco ball's going, all my kids come running into the kitchen, and we just have a dance party. And man, if that's not the best, right? So my kids, I dance with them, and you gotta dip them, right? And then they just line up like, dip me, daddy, and then we do it again, and we do it again, and it's just beautiful. So now, once you get your pudding, I mean, you could just eat that right there because it's pudding. I mean, if you want to make homemade pudding, well, there you have it. Okay? That's one way, and you basically got this pudding. So you're gonna put that into a nice clean bowl. Get some of this off. Okay. Give it a lick. Everything good? Oh, whew, that was hot. Burnt my tongue. Whew, that was hot, but it's good. Now, you may be wondering about right now, what if mine has lumps in it? Like if it's lumpy. Whisk it really hard. Just whisk, and see if the lumps come out. Now, if the lumps don't come out, that means you probably have a little egg yolk that curdled. And that's fine. It's not going to hurt you at all. But if you were really like a perfectionist and you want to get the lumps out, then take it. Maybe you have some sort of strainer basket like this. Just take it and put it through a strainer, and you can just push it through the strainer. And all the curdled eggs will stay in the strainer, and everything else will come out the bottom. Right? But you don't have to do that tonight. That's for a different day. Y'all, I really did burn my tongue. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the middle of that tongs, it was hot. Then add your chocolate to your pudding. And that chocolate should just melt right in. Like that residual heat. You want to do the chocolate now, because if you wait too long, it won't be hot enough to melt the chocolate. Looks good to me. This is what I call the souffle base. Okay? A couple things you should know about the souffle base is one is you can keep it. So if you want to, say you want to impress the friends, okay, you want to come over and I gotta make some souffle for you, right? And so you can do that, and it's great. So take your souffle base, make sure it's mixed well like this, wrap it in plastic wrap, and put it in the fridge for a couple of days. A day, 2 days would be fine. And then pull it out and put it at room temperature. And once you put it at room temperature, you pull out to let it warm up to room temperature is what I'm trying to say. And then once you do that, all you have to do is whip some egg whites, basically do the next part, and you're ready to go. You can even do the ramekins ahead of time as well and keep them in the fridge. Your souffle will rise even higher if your ramekins are cold. Because that's where we're going to next. We're going to actually do two things right now. You ready? No one get any gum out, because I'm going to have you doing two things, and if you're doing that third thing of chewing gum, it's over. You're not going to happen, okay? So I'm going to take the egg whites, put them in my bowl. Now, if you're the unlucky person who has to do them by hand, well, let's get you started. So egg whites and sugar. Egg whites and there should be a smaller amount of sugar that goes into your bowl, your mixer. I'm going to turn that on. Get it whisking. They give you a break? What's that thing weigh? You got these big old camera. Get that shoulder power holding that thing up. So my egg whites are whipping, starting to whip. But what if you don't have that? Well, you got one of these and a bowl. Here's the trick. Your bowl is your friend. You need to hit the bowl, okay? Right? And then hit the bowl. Make sure your whisk comes up and over like a circle. It's making a big loop outside. Because every time you come out, it'll pull air in, helping your egg whites whip. Make sure you hit your bowl and get a nice circle, like come in and out. If you just stir like this, nothing will happen. You want to come in and out, in and out, in and out. And just get a stretch on right there. Just because it's going to hurt in just a few minutes. All right, so let's answer some questions. So how many eggs for this? Candy? It depends. It depends on what recipe you're making. If you're doing the follow the recipe. It's by the egg whites are by how it's just measure in a cup. So I'm doing a half a cup. Actually, I probably had a little bit more. If you don't use all the egg whites, it's fine. But I had probably like maybe almost 3/4 of a cup of egg whites that went into my bowl, and then. But it depends on what recipe you're making. So just follow the recipe amounts do work really well. So Amy is asking, what is your KitchenAid mixer speed? My KitchenAid mixer speed is in control. So that means I had it higher at first, but I started to see that my egg whites were starting to get foamy, so I turned it down a little bit. And so I want to stay in control. Your egg whites will whip at low speed. It'll just take a really long time. And they'll whip really fast at a high speed. So just stay in control, and I'll teach you what control is, because I want to show you what to look for. So everyone right now, turn your mixer off. Just turn it off for a second. Right? I don't want you trying to listen to me and they get messed up, so just turn them off. So Candy, you accidentally used all your eggs for the first part, trying to cook with... So Candy, do you have your egg, is it egg yolk and white together? If you have egg, do you have egg yolk and white together in with the chocolate? Was it the whole egg? Let me know. Okay, so also, Candy, if that's the case and you have extras, just go ahead and crack some egg whites. Separate eggs and just use the whites, okay? And how hard do we whip the egg whites? Julie, so how hard do we whip the egg whites? Whip them. Well, Julie, if you're doing them by hand, you got to whip really hard. And if you're doing them by a mixer, I'm going to show you what that looks like here in just a moment, okay? Awesome. So here we go. I think I got your questions answered, everybody. If I missed something, please let me know. That's what I'm here to do. So as soon as your egg whites, I'm not sure, Candy, I'm not sure what your no is referring to, because I got lost in the stream. So let me know where you're at, and I'll help. Okay. So right now, my egg whites, they're starting to encapsulate air. Okay, you're good, everyone. Candy's good. Good, fantastic. And so since they're starting to get a little air, what I'm going to look for is a peak. What peak do you think we go to? We have soft, medium, and stiff peak, right? Soft, medium, and stiff. Those are the 3 peaks. Which one do you think we're looking for? You can cheat and read ahead. Medium. We're going for a medium peak, all right? And so when I swirl this around and I pull it out, right here is my peak, and you want to turn that thing over and see what happens, okay? Right now, I've got the Dairy Queen, we call that the Dairy Queen ice cream cone, the soft cone, you know, when they pull it up and just curls around, we call it the Dairy Queen cone, right? So that's what we call a soft peak. So I'm going to check it again just to see. There's my peak, and come around. That was so soft it just came right off. So that's not good. We want to go to a medium peak. But once your eggs start to foam like they are, like mine are, once we kind of hit that soft peak stage, you could go from soft to medium in anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 seconds. So ready? Let's count. 1, I'm on high. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Give it a check. It doesn't take long unless you're doing a lot of egg whites. If you're doing the serves 4, or you made it, or you did more than that, then it could be you could be still whipping. So I'm still at a soft peak, pulling that up, and it's still kind of curling down. I said it could be at 8 to 10 seconds. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Give him another check. It's better to check in Team Mueller. Don says, what do we do with the small amount of sugar? The small amount of sugar goes in with your egg whites. So you should have sugar in with your egg whites. It helps them whip up and sweetens them a little bit. So let's check. I'm at, ooh, did you get that? Ooh, so I'm still kind of a soft peak. I'll pull that down a little lower. Pull that out. Still, oh, it's starting to kind of go out the side. I'm really close to medium. Really close to medium. Now, if you're a total pro, that's what you use right there. So, I'm a total pro. I'm just going to use that. I'm just kidding. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you what, just a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Give that. Ooh, that's looking good. So I have a 4-time rule when I'm kind of getting close to the end. I'll check 4 times. That's a medium peak. It's out to the side. So there's 1. But you know, it's not always even in here. So I'm going to give it a stir. I'm going to check again. Okay, that one's a little softer too. So we're going to do the law of averages. Okay. Yep, right out to the side. That's 3. These are perfect, right? Just check a few. That's a little long. But that one came out stiff. So they're really in between, like a medium, like they're really right at medium. Law of averages says we're medium. Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. Let some of you get caught up. So you know what? While you're getting caught up, let's do this. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna, I think we should eat while this tart is hot, right? Mueller. Mueller. Sorry, Don. I mean, not Team Mueller. I knew that, but it's just, sorry, Team Mueller. This is where a Bueller comes. Bueller. Yeah. Glad somebody's correcting me around here. Oh, I love it. Okay. If you're not having fun, I'm not having, this is what it's about. All right, let's go ahead and take a small tart break, right? So I'm going to cut my tart like this. And guys coming over. 1. Okay. 2. Layer it up. Oh, that one's broken. All right. Okay, so there we go. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of y'all. It's perfect. So these are going on the plate. Now these aren't going to last very long. Did you see enough? Did you see what you wanted to see? Because you can pretty much imagine that these are just the magic trick is about to happen. Because as soon as I set these down, this production crew, they've been eyeing this stuff. They're over there looking. They're over like, we did all the hard work to begin with. It's time for us to eat. And I agree. I agree with you. Okay. So we've got your souffle base. Just give it a stir. It started to cool down a little bit. It probably started to get a little stiff on you. So what we're going to do is you're going to take. We need to get the eggs incorporated in here. But remember, this is like a pillow. Like all these eggs are like a pillow. There's all this air bubbles and everything in here. So what you want to do is you're going to take the first amount. We're going to take probably just a small portion and put it in here. And this is what's called the sacrifice. Okay, the sacrifice. When I can't say it like my French teacher did. We went to France last year for our 10-year anniversary, and so here, real quick, y'all. What you're going to do is you're going to fold. You're going to pull this over. You're going to push against the bowl and push against the bowl and make sure you keep pushing against the bowl all the way down the bottom. And you come over and right there is the fold. I'm going to turn the bowl. I'm going to do it again. Okay? I might have to give this one a little bit of a separation. And we're just using these egg whites. They're going to get all beat up, but they're the sacrifice, right? They're the ones. They're on the front line, like our first responders, right? And all the doctors and nurses at the Erlanger Health System that are kind of right there, that we're trying to help. They're the ones getting beat up the most, and so just like these egg whites, right? And so once that kind of gets it broken up, so that we can get other ones in there, like they're, just that too. I mean, really good analogy is the healthcare workers are, they're getting deflated too. I know. I don't know if you're a Dave Ramsey fan or not. I listen to Dave Ramsey podcast all the time. If you're not familiar, that he's great. But one nurse got on the line and she was talking about how she's just been working so much, and she's tired. And you know what? Maybe some of them just need a phone call. Maybe they need a meal dropped off at their house because they're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week right now. So just, I don't know, just think about that. So I'm adding a second layer of egg whites to here, and we're just folding them in, just being real gentle. My batter is still really stiff right now, which means I cooked it on the stove just a little too long. I'm having trouble getting the egg whites in without kind of giving a little bit of pressure, which I really don't want to do pressure. I just want to fold and turn the bowl. Fold and turn the bowl. It's starting to lighten up a little bit, but it just doesn't want to break apart. And that might be happening to you too. All right. Now I'm going to add one more round of egg whites. I lied to everybody. I lied to you. We still need the oven. Turn your oven back on to 400 degrees. What was I thinking, y'all? 400 degrees. Turn your oven on right now. This is my first time cooking ever. Okay? This is my first time. All right. I'm going to fold even more. And this is probably, I'm probably doing, let's go ahead and put them all in. Why not? Okay. Put all my egg whites that I had in here. And we're going to fold and fold until they're incorporated. When you make a small batch of something, it's really hard to retain the moisture. So when I was cooking mine on a stovetop and I got the pudding, I probably cooked it a little too long because it just heats up so fast. And it's making it harder for my egg whites to go into the base. But again, what I was saying earlier, you can make this base just like we did. Put it in the fridge the next day, whenever your friends are coming over, your guests are coming over. And all you have to do is let it warm up to room temperature. And then whip your egg whites, fold them in, and you're about to put them in the oven and wow everybody. Okay, so that is incorporated. It should be light and fluffy looking, and so we have light and fluffy. There's no visible egg whites left. They're mixed in pretty nicely. So I'm going to set them there and show you what to do with your ramekins. Now I'm not sure what you have at home. You can do this in. You could do this in a coffee mug. You could do this in like a small casserole dish or something like that. So it doesn't have to be individual ones like this. It could be a little bit larger dish. Sometimes I do it in a little cast iron dish as well. So whatever you got at home, use it. But if you got souffle dishes, this is what we're going to do. So I have a little extra sugar, and I have my butter. Now I'm going for gloves on this one because it's just a greasy mess if you don't. But your choice. You want to do the glove dance? Just my glove dance. Really, I'm just drying my hands. My hands are wet. They need to dry so I can get gloves on. Okay. So this is what we need to make a barrier. Souffle means Pyrex. Amy, yes, you can use Pyrex. Absolutely. And so souffle means to rise, right? So these souffles should rise out of this dish. But here's the thing: when you put all this batter into the souffle dishes, when the heat hits it, where's the heat going to cook first, right? The heat is going to cook the top first. So that means when the batter's in there, the heat will hit the top, and it'll try to cook the top. It'll try to stick it right around the edge, and then it'll stunt the growth. You'll be like, it won't go anywhere. So instead, what we need to do is we need to create this barrier. So as it heats up, the batter won't cook to the side of the ramekin, and it'll souffle out of the dish. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of butter, and I'll rub it. And I want you to coat every nook and cranny. Okay. Every nook and cranny. And then if you have any leftover butter, put it in the next one. Make sure you get the top rim That's important as well. Again, extra, you don't want to leave big chunks of butter in there. So take the extra out. Go and just keep going. Keep going. Oh, missed a spot on that one. I don't know if you can hear it, but so I love birds, right? I'm learning about birds a little bit, and I had there's I think some birds made a little nest, like kind of like right outside of our place. I hear them chirp. I think I hear a little chirping, and I think I had a golden finch show up to my house yesterday. Oh, so exciting! Is that weird to be excited about that? And I have another finch that follows me around the yard. No lie, it's going on for 3 years now. When I'm out there all summer long, wherever I am working on the yard, this little bird is within about 6 or 8 feet of me, follows me around. I've gotten almost to touch it, almost. Kind of neat. I just heard that in the background, so I was like, that's cool. I got this extra butter. I'll use it for my potatoes. So once I've got all of my dishes buttered, right, then I'm going to pour some sugar in them. So pour some sugar and watch this, right? So as I pour it out, I'm turning, twisting, right? And you do that because it coats with sugar all the way. I got sugar and butter all the way up around the edge, okay? And that's important. So do that while I do mine. If you got questions, good time for the Q&A. Okay, again, I just pour some in. And you just pour, you just want some to stick and fall out as you're turning. Now, the next part is we're about ready to go in the oven. Just about. So we're going to take your souffle batter, and you're going to put it into the ramekin. I'm going to get a knife, just a regular old knife, okay? And so I'm going to take the souffle batter, put it in, and then I'm going to overfill it, so it's a little bit kind of bulging out the top. And I'll take the bottom, the back of the knife, and I'm just going to scrape it. I'll give you a nice clean top. That's what we're looking for. Tilting it doesn't help. Okay, so we'll try it. We'll do another one. I'm going to take and fill it up. Overfill, actually. I wasn't sure exactly how many I would get out of this batch. Overfill, and then you take your knife and just go. Don't forget the sound effects. Sound effects in cooking are very important. You can coin your own sound effects for this one if you'd like. Okay, it looks like I'm getting 3. So we're gonna have to do rock, paper, scissors to see who gets one of these. Okay, since there's only my daughter beats me rock, paper, scissors every night when we're putting her to bed. Daddy, let's do rock, paper, scissors. Oh, okay, so we're down. Ted's down. You're just being chivalrous, Ted, and I love it. Okay, I get to lick the ladle. Why not? That's good. So it looks like I'm going to get 3, probably right to the top. Look at that. You want to lick this one, Clay? True. I'll do it for you then. Okay, mine are going in the oven. I'm gonna set a 9-minute timer to check them, but they're gonna go right. They're gonna go in the oven. 9-minute timer. Put yours in the oven as well. Okay. Then get cleaned up, everybody. It's time for a little cleanup before we do our next part. And I may have forgot to tell you this earlier. I know I forgot to tell you earlier that you need a pot of water. So I have a small pot of water, just a small saucepan of water with a lid just to make it heat up fast. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the stove and turn it on so it can start coming to a boil. A couple of you have already done this class with me. Do you know what's next? The torture that's about, the fun we're about to have. Anybody remember?
I'll never forget.
All right. We are. If anyone asks you to tournay, never volunteer. Never volunteer for that. It's not unless you're like a French master chef. Okay, they tournay. They can tournay with their eyes closed to perfection. Anybody have is there any water in your souffle pan? Amy, no, there's no water in my souffle pan. Very good question. A lot of times people get this confused with making a custard. So a custard, like a flan or a creme brulee, something like that, you would put water in the pan to give it gentle heat so that the eggs don't curdle and such. But for this one, we need high heat, because what makes it rise? Anyone know what makes it rise? I was waiting, giving you a second. The egg whites. Okay, the egg whites are what make it rise. So when the heat hits the egg whites, you need high heat to hit the egg whites so that they will start to heat up, and they have a bunch of air in the inside. So when there's a bunch of air in the inside, what did we talk about earlier with the puff pastry? Same principle. Air, when it heats up, it goes and it rises, and that's what eggs are so beautiful at doing, is trapping air. Whipped egg whites is the egg is trapped a bunch of air in it. That's all it is. If you let your egg whites just sit there for a while, they'll turn back to liquid because the bubbles will pop and they'll go right back to liquid. Kind of a neat thing. So there we are. So we want nice dry hot heat. Dry hot heat. Okay. Probably need a drink right now. Get a drink, get a stretch on, because you're about to get a workout. Are we ready? Are you ready? Because we have a minute that we could probably hang out for a second. I'm drinking a LaCroix. I don't know what you're drinking. Hopefully something good. Ted, how's that limoncello LaCroix? Pretty amazing.
Limoncello's pretty good.
It's pretty amazing.
Interesting flavor right away.
Yeah.
It's essentially how the lemon one should taste.
I agree. Ted's saying it's essentially how the lemon one should taste. The limoncello LaCroix. I totally agree. All right, so I don't see anyone telling me hey, I'm behind or anything. So I'm gonna get this party. We're gonna keep traveling right down this party road. Did I set a timer? Timer, water, good. Check. Okay, so you should have some sort of veg. I don't know what you have at home, but I have I have some broccoli, and so broccoli. I want to make it pretty, and I'm going to use more of it than you would think. A lot of times people cut it off right here, and that would be fine. And I know why. It's because if you take, I'm going to peel a piece off right here. If you peel a piece off and you take that and you try to eat it, it's tough as nails. Okay, you could hang from a tree on that, tow a car with it. But if you take a peeler and you gently peel that outside layer. And you'll see, can we get to right? You'll see where, you getting into that? Yeah. You'll see where you kind of get past the outer exterior, and you'll get this like lighter, creamier looking on the inside. And that's what you want to get to. Make sure you get through that first skin, and you'll see it reveal itself, and that's what you want. Just allow the peeler to reveal what's underneath. Okay. You know, I mean, again, some of you don't know me, but Julie Taylor asked, what do we do with the water? The water, just turn it on, bring it to a boil. That's it, right now. Just bring it to a boil. So I don't do any shopping at my house. Actually, I do a little bit, just a little bit. I did some yesterday. But my wife does most of the shopping. She's amazing. And so that was Sam's Club, I believe, the limoncello. Sam's Club, LaCroix. It's fantastic. But, you know, there's a lot going on in people's lives right now. Some people are, you know, there's just a lot. And so I cooking and relationships go hand in hand for me. And so that's what, I don't know, that's just, I think, just the way I'm geared. And so I think about this like with people. I mean, people got a lot of layers going on. You got probably a lot of people with a happy face if you see them, but they're hurting on the inside. And so just, again, reach out to some people. Reach out to your neighbors. Reach out to your friends. You know, pick somebody you haven't talked to in 5 or 6 years and give them a call and just see how they're doing. I tried reaching out to one of my, he was, Chef Adams. He was the guy who taught me a whole lot of stuff. He's the guy, if he walked in the door right now, I'd call him Chef. Like, I know his real name, but till the day I die, he'll be Chef. And because he taught me so much. And I was trying to connect with him the other day. It's been a long time since I talked to him. And anyways, his number wasn't working. So now I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt to find him. But yeah, so I've got my broccoli. I peeled the bottom part. And I'm just going to take a knife. And I'm going to go ahead and split it all the way down to the end, and then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to set it down flat. I'm going to go ahead and split it again. Right. Kind of get a couple of nice little pieces. Look at that. Okay. I might do that one more time, and I'm cutting all the way through, trying to hold on to some of that length because it's pretty. Okay, it's pretty, and you know what? Take a little piece off the end and just go ahead and eat that. Okay. So, there we go. It tastes great, right? It tastes great. All right. So Cindy and Les, Julie will do that in a little bit when soufflés come out. Cindy and Les, you set the timer on your soufflé. I did mine for 9 minutes. For 9 minutes, okay? All right. Dayton, what do you want to see? You said give me a camera shot. What do you want to see more specifically, and I'll make sure that you get a good visual of it, okay? So we have basically all of our main views up. Let us know if there's something we're missing. Again, cut that.
I'll stop like that.
Okay.
Right,
just cutting it through the end. Now you just have this pretty broccoli. And we're going to cook that first in our boiling water. Right? So I'm going to set that aside. All right, so now we have, this is going to be pretty cool because we have really really good detailed close-up cameras today, which, you know, is pretty awesome and making me jealous right now from our normal setup. And so now we're going to tourne. No, we're not. We're going to check soufflés. Soufflés, let's check them. All right. Can you see into the oven? Can you see through my light? Okay, I'm going to open it. You got it zoomed in? All right. You see them coming up just a little bit? Be gentle. All right, so they're not done yet. I'm not going to shake them or do anything, but they're coming up just a little bit. That was 9 minutes. I'm going to go another, actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a light tap, right? So I want to pull it out, and I just want to feel it. Okay, I just want to be gentle and be like, oh, super soft in the middle. Super, super soft. Okay. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. And what we're looking for when they're done is you'll be able to tap it, okay? You'll be able to tap the top, and it'll spring back, okay? And that means all the egg is done, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So here we go. Are y'all ready to tourne? All right? So get your potato, and you need a small knife. Now, again, what I talked about earlier, see, look at this knife, right? I can squeeze that knife. I'm squeezing it, and I'm squeezing it so hard, like I'm getting help on my other hand, and I'm not cutting a thing. And it's a sharp knife. And I tell you that because, again, if you pull a knife, I cut everything. You can see it, you can see how white, you can see the whiteness, right? I'm squeezing it so hard, right? So I'm going to turn it sideways, and I want you to be high up on the knife, okay? So if you've ever peeled something with a knife, that's all we're doing. We're peeling this potato with a knife. But those of you who've never used a knife in this manner, I need to tell you the safety rules. So here's the rules. Your thumb the thumb with your knife is very important. If your thumb is with the knife, right? See, my thumb is touching the knife. If it's over here, then look, my knife can go anywhere it wants to, including stabbing my hand. Okay, go anywhere. But as soon as you gotta take your thumb off the knife, put it on the food, and look, it's as far as it can go. Or you practice on the cutting board, right? So if my thumb comes off the cutting board, look, it can go anywhere. As soon as I put my thumb down, it's as far as I can go. Your thumb is a limiting factor, and you need that. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your potato, and you're going to cut the end off, cut the other end off, and I'm going to cut it in half. This one's, I should be able to get, all right, and stand it up. You with me? Cut the ends off. I'll show you one more time right here. Okay, I'm going to cut the end off, cut the other end off, cut it in half, this way. All right, get a good spin for you this way. There, right there. This is the half I'm talking about. Stand them up. Then you're going to cut it in quarters. So I'm going to cut straight down, turn it, and you got these quarter pieces just like that. I know what you're going to say next. This seems like a waste. Well, it's not. It's got its purpose. All right, get in comfortable position because we're going to tourne. So tourne. We're going to take these two fingers and I'm going to put them in here. Tourne means to turn. To turn. So think about like your potatoes on one of those like spits, like when you go like some of the stores, Publix, whatever, and they've got the chickens on a spit and they're spinning around. Okay, so that's on a spit. Then I'm going to take my hand with the knife. And I'm going to put my thumb here and stretch the knife to the other end. And I want you to cut. That is starting perpendicular, cutting straight in. That's not your friend. I want you to turn it to an angle like you think you're just going to slide right out. So we're going to cut up, and you're going to come back down. Right? And then you turn the knife. See the curve? See how it's curved on top? So you're going to turn it a little bit and see right there. That's it. That's the edge. I want to cut that one off this time. Cut up, down, turn. Okay, don't turn too far. Just turn a little bit. You have to cut the next one. You want to keep going in order. Up, down, turn. Now it's going to slip a little bit. Up, down, turn. Cut. Ooh, it's about to pop right out. Up, down, turn. Up. It gets hard on the backside. Turn. Up, down, turn. Don't be mad at me right now. I know all of you are mad at me because your hand is cramping. You're like, what are we doing this for? Okay? Just keep your mind and your thoughts clean, all right? And when you get done, if you look at the end, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it should be a 7-sided football. Do you have a football? If not, you keep practicing. And look, hey, I don't care what they look like. It doesn't really matter. This is really just for fun. But here's why you would do it in a French kitchen. Here's why you would do this. Number 1, it shows skill. Number 2, all your potatoes will be the same size, so they'll cook at the same time. Meaning they'll take the same amount of time to cook, and then and they look pretty on a plate. So that's why you would do that. And part of eating is what you see. So we're gonna do another one. You can see the angle I come in at. Let me see. Okay. So up, down, turn, up, down, turn, up, down. I may have mentioned this last time when in culinary school you had to do one of these to as a grade. And I had just practiced and practiced and practiced until I got it, pretty decent at it. And I had buddies who were like, "Hey man, can you make me one?" And I'll just put it in a Ziploc bag with some water and show it off as my own. I was like, "No, that'd be wrong. Like, do your own, right?" So I hear the timer. My souffles, we should check them. Okay, so I'm gonna pause, check my souffles. Oh, look at those bad boys rise. Okay. Look, they're sliding right out of the pan. I'm gonna give them a touch. Okay, I'm looking, I don't want to push, but you just tap, tap, tap. You'll get some springing back on that. Okay, so some springing, but I feel a little drag. Okay, right here in the middle. This one seems a little soft in the middle. That one seems a little soft. 3 more minutes. These guys are gonna be beautiful. But you need to get your camera ready, y'all. When the timer goes off in 3 minutes, if you want to show them off, you're gonna need to raise your hand ASAP, because they will fall. What goes up must come down. Okay, so they will not stay up. That's why souffles are such a special thing to eat, because as soon as you cook them, you need to serve them, because they're falling as soon as they come out of the oven. All right, it's just such a beautiful thing. All right, I'm gonna go back to some tourneing. We'll take a little tournay break here, and last I put, timer's on. How are your tournays coming? All right. Julie, you're asking what about your boiling broccoli? Well, my broccoli's not boiling yet. Are you boiling your broccoli? If you are, you probably should pull it out. It's only going to cook for just a couple, like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe. Okay. Julie, follow directions. Julie. They're telling me stories about you, Julie. Okay, especially Rebecca over here. She's been telling me stories about you all night. Just kidding. She hasn't told me a single one, but I'm going to ask now. But I will. She will. Go to your evil laugh. I taught my kids an evil laugh, and it's hilarious. You probably can notice I teach my children all kinds of funny things. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we have them. My wife comes home and she's like, "What'd you do? What did you teach them while I was gone?" I'm like, "Anything I wanted." Okay. All right, this is my last tournay. If you're cooking for 4 people, I'm sorry. You need to get everybody on board. Everybody on board right now. Yeah. Put 3 of them on tournay. However many you got. Everyone needs some tournay torture. I mean, tournay fun. Now, what do you do with the leftovers? You make mashed potatoes out of it. Okay? Absolutely. Make some mashed taters. I don't. Ooh. Oh yeah. Yeah, turning into some hash browns, leftover egg yolks. Fantastic. I'm gonna save that for my compost. That's good in the compost. Okay. So I've got my 3 going on. I'm gonna clean my station. Okay, here we go. Now, Julie Taylor. Okay, everyone pause. My souffle timer is going off right now. Your souffle timer is probably going off. You're probably very close to mine. If you want to share your video, go ahead and bring it up, and let's see your success. I'm so excited to see your success, because I think some of you probably just conquered something you never thought was possible, and I want to know. So here we go. Oven's opening. Souffles have risen. Okay. They feel nice and tight, nice and springy in the middle. My souffles are done. Now, what's going to happen, they're super hot, right? They're super hot. And so to finish them off, I would put a little powdered sugar in here in my little duster. Right? But they're so hot, that powdered sugar is just going to stay there for a minute, and then it's just going to liquefy. But I just want to show you how I'm going to finish it, and I'll actually do that a little bit more. Actually, it's staying on pretty well. I'll do them all right now. And I'll probably do it twice. Probably do it right now. All right, these are going to, you know what? No rock, paper, scissors. Highest bidder, okay? Highest bidder for souffles right now. Right. Okay, everybody, my water is boiling. Your water is probably boiling as well. So now you can turn your oven off. I'm pretty sure this time you can turn your oven off. So my pot of water is at a boil, rolling away. And what you want to do is you want to season your water. If you like, I like to taste mine first just to see where it's at. So I'm going to put my tastes like water. And then I want to put some salt in there, because later we're not going to salt our potatoes and our broccoli later, because if you did it later, it would be salting it on the outside of it. Instead, we want to season it all the way through. So if you season your cooking liquid, then that takes care of it for you. All right, so we're going to give another try. I should give that a stir. All right. So a little bit more. You're going to think it's a lot of salt, but there's a lot of water. So you're going to make sure the water is seasoned really well, and then it'll take care of making your potatoes amazing, and your broccoli. Oh, yeah, that's good. So my broccoli is going to go in first. I lied. They're both going in. You want to learn how to just get things done? That's how you get things done. If you're worried about safety, take a slotted spoon and take your potatoes and put them on a spoon and roll them into the water. See that? Can you roll them in so it's nice and safe? They're going to sink to the bottom, and you're going to take your broccoli and just toss it in the top. I wouldn't put both in the pot if I'm making a lot of them. I would probably do them separately, but we're going to do them real quick together because it won't take very long. The broccoli will take about a minute or two, and then we'll pull it out. So while it's cooking, go ahead and get you a bowl of cold water. So bowl, just put some tap water in it, some cold tap water. All right, as soon as that broccoli is ready, it's going to come out into that bowl, and we'll be jamming. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, though. I do have some, but such a small amount. So yeah, while that's happening, I am going to get set up to do the chicken. So I'm getting all my chicken ingredients out, and we'll get ready to cook our last dish here in just a minute. The broccoli, if you want to know like when it's done, you can pull a piece out, and you literally just eat a piece if you want to. Mine's a little crunchy, which is good. You actually want your broccoli for this particular dish, because I know the end and you don't yet, because I haven't gotten you there. But I know what we're looking for in the end. So I want my broccoli just a little bit more al dente, make it a little bit more firm than you would. Like it won't be ready to go on the plate, because I'm going to saute it again. It's going to get cooked just a little bit more, and so I want to make sure that I leave room for that. So my broccoli is ready. It was still pretty crunchy, but the two things I usually look for when you're doing blanched vegetables is bright green and soft enough to eat. Those two things, bright green and soft enough to eat. So this is bright green and it's almost soft enough to eat, because I know I'm going to finish it in a saute pan right before we eat it with a little bit of butter, because you know butter makes it better. Right? Now potatoes. The potatoes won't take long to cook because they're small. I'm going to take a fork and just give a stab. About a minute and a half left for those guys. All right, I want to start the next thing. Well, I guess we can get started when the potatoes are almost ready. I'm going to gloves for this next part, because we're going to be dealing with raw meat, and we'll do the raw meat last. And it's always a good order is to do your raw meat last. All right. Are y'all ready? You having a good time? I'm having a blast on this side. And this crew over here, they should just start cooking with me. It's more fun on this side right now. Things are going well. It's more fun on this side. At least that's what I'm thinking. Right, Ted? Yeah. Yeah. So, y'all, I've got my garlic. I'm going to get my stuff opened up. So I've got some garlic. I've got a little cooking oil. A hand up. Hey, bring it on. If you got a hand up, someone's souffle is probably ready. So let's bring them on. My potatoes, I'm about to pull my potatoes out of the water, y'all. Just so you know, don't overcook your potatoes. Okay, it's time to cut some chicken. No, it's not. We're doing garlic. So the garlic, that little brown thing. Some of y'all know my habits. Got out of focus, that little part right there. Cut that off. Okay. And so we're going to cut the little brown part off nicely. Get rid of those ends. And then this one, you're just going to take the garlic. I'm going to slide my knife off the side of the cutting board and turn it flat. Put the tip on the table, right? And see, my knife's going to bend a little bit. I'm pressing so hard, my knife bends a little bit. And so when your knuckles are on the table, you see, you got right here, it doesn't touch the table. So you got to slide your knuckles off so the knife can be flat. Tip down for a little leverage and pop it. Easiest way to pop it. You don't need any strength to do that. It's just using physics. And then from here, you have your garlic underneath, and we're just going to slice through. And we're just going to chop this up really small, really, really fast. Okay? I know. You're like, but I can't cut like that. Well, it's okay. As I said earlier, knife skills plug for you. In June, on a Tuesday night, I will teach you how to hold this knife and hold your hand and become an expert with the knife with practice. Right? And so I'd love to have you on board for that. By the way, next week we are having if you ever wanted to learn how to cut apart a whole chicken, we're doing that next week in our chicken fabrication class, and then we're going to teach you how to cook with cast iron. So now we're going to go to some chicken. And what I want to show you is if this is my method. You can use it, but you gotta give me my claim to fame. My second claim to fame is called the Penny Packer method. So Penny Packer is my last name. True story. Penny Packer is my last name. I call this the Penny Packer method. So here we go. You ready? I'm going to take this chicken breast. So anytime you have a chicken breast, it's always thick here and thin here, right? And so when you put this thing and you try to cook it, a couple things happen. One, you get this dry as a bone to get this done. And then when that happens, the rest of it, you're burning the whole thing to get it done. So what I always like to do, I'm going to teach you how to trim it first, and then we're going to cut it into thinner pieces. So to trim it, I take my hand and I twist, right? Twist, right? And so I'm going to scrape, you hear that sound? You hear that scraping sound? Oh, can you go back to the other angle? That one was really good. I really like that. So see, I'm like I'm trying to scrape something off the table. Use that same motion, same twisting of the wrist, and scrape your blade down, right, down the chicken until you get the fat to the edge. So I'm going to scrape my fat to the edge, then cut it off, and that gives you a lot less waste. Okay? So scrape it down, and you can even see maybe right there. There's like this clear membrane. I'm just scraping it to the edge, and then cut it. So you have almost no waste. Scrape, scrape, scrape. And just sometimes things will just pull off. Right? So this is just butchering. This isn't the Penny Packer yet, because this is how a butcher would be. I wouldn't steal that from him. But a lot of people pound their chicken, and I don't like the flesh after it's been pounded. It's just not the same. Any other fat to come off? We'll take that guy off. Come on. Now, here it is. Ooh, right there, okay? See how this is thick right here? So I'm going to take my knife. I need to pull it back a little bit. My knife is flat, and so here's the top. Here's the bottom. I'm going to come halfway up the thick part, and I'm going to cut at the same angle that the top is at, right? So see how the top, it starts high and it kind of goes down low. Well, I'm going to start high, and my knife is going to follow that angle, and it's going to go down low, and it'll touch the cutting board. I didn't get to the end because I'm not cutting it in half, I'm cutting it at an angle. And what ends up happening is I end up cutting off this back lobe, right? See that? This back part is what makes it thicker. So I took that off, and then I'm going to cut this in half, because that is plenty of chicken for a person. So I got 2. I'm going to do this again. So I always going to start trimming. Scrape, 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 scrape. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Now, this part here sometimes is very hard to get into. So if you want to get it out, you can. But make sure you're always cutting away from yourself. So I am going to slide my knife in there and cut away from myself. Slide my knife, cut away. All right. I might flip it over and try to cut some of that off. A little gentle. Maybe not. Come back up. There we go. So that's off. Now, back to the penny packering. You ready? So you can't, same principle earlier with the garlic. If your knuckles are on the table, you can't get the knife flat. Right? I can't get it flat. So slide your knuckles to the edge so the knife is flat. And it means you got to move your chicken to the edge too. So you can halfway up the thick part and cut at an angle. Hold on tight. Make sure this hand here, make sure those fingers are bent up like that. Okay? Because if your fingers are down like this and you slip, you'll cut them off. Make sure they're bent up, all out of the way, and bam. There you go. Cut that in half. So now I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got some extras. No. Oh, good call, Julie. So Julie, yes, for some of you who already bought chicken, who bought your ingredient packages from us, your penny packering has been done already. So some of you who bought ingredient packages from us, your chicken has been penny packered. I'm sorry I stole that opportunity from you, but we are still in this quarantine time. These are things that my wife and I are doing. Like, we both have a Sam's Club membership, and you can only get 1 package of chicken. So like, she goes in and gets 1, and I go in and get 1. So we have to we had to cut it and give you just the right amount so that we could get it. Because some of them, we have ordered chicken in larger quantities at some point, but for this, this amount, we couldn't order a case of chicken because we have no place to store it unless it was going right out the door. So a lot of challenges when you kind of pivot your whole business model in a matter of a week, and then been kind of working through all the kinks as we go. So some of y'all has already been penny packered. You can just watch. I think they're going to make a recording or something. And anyways, you can watch that later and master that skill at home. Why you're going to like it? Here's why it's so amazing. Okay, one is it makes all the chicken now. All the chicken is the same thickness, right? This one's still a little thick. Like, I could actually penny packer it again. I could take a little cutlet off the back of that one, right, and to make it thin. But then you're going to ask, why didn't I just cut it in half? If I just cut the chicken breast in half, then you have the same problem, just on a smaller scale. Meaning it would be, if I cut it just in half, you'd have still a thin side and a thick side. And so a part would get dry before the other part gets done. And so, but this way, it makes them all the same thickness, right? And then they'll cook at the same rate, and they're thin enough that they can cook on the stovetop without getting dried out. So there we go. I'm going to take all these guys, and I'm going to put them in a bowl. So all this chicken's going in a bowl, just like that. I'm going to sanitize my cutting board. I might ask Ted, can you take these and put them in the cooler? Got it. And then so I'm going to sanitize that. That sanitizer, for the stuff that we have, it's made to just kind of to dry on the knife. That's when it does its job. So we're just going to leave it. there. And I'm actually going to go ahead and move my garlic over to this tray. Yeah, and then we're going to get the pan that you cooked your bacon and onion tart in. And we're going to get your bacon and onion tart, the pan you used to cook your bacon and onion tart. I'm about to pull that back out. So I saw a question that someone said they're a little behind on the broccoli and the potatoes. Okay, cool. Ted got you. I'm sanitizing this cutting board twice. Break. Don't give him a break. Are you ready for cooking? We're in the home stretch, y'all. The home stretch. We're going to be eating together, sitting down and eating together. Make sure you get yourself ready. All right. Wash your hands if you got chicken on your hands. Camera guys, she just about took out a light, y'all. It was awesome. Awesome. Can I tell you, I like to tell stories. You'll get to know this after a while. I like to tell stories. I gotta do a stretch. You want to know a story from back in my day? So back in the day when I was in high school, there was a girl. That's where all good stories start. There was a girl, okay? And I wanted to date this girl. I'm sure she wanted to date me or not, but she invited me and 4 other guys to be part of their team to do this choreographed dance for a prom modeling show is what they called it. And this was in Johnson City, Tennessee. And that was fun. So it was me and 3 other guys and 18 ladies. And we practiced 2 or 3 days a week to a couple of Janet Jackson songs, doing all this stuff, and when the day came when we were doing our routine, it was every school was doing their own routine. And so we were doing our routine, and there was these planters. In the on the back of the stage, and in the middle of it, my foot just hit that planter, and just like the camera guy was doing with the light started to kind of tip. Well, his didn't go all the way over, but my planter, in the middle, it just went in the middle of it, and it was great. I have it on VHS. No lie, I have it on VHS. Okay, so we're gonna start cooking. Let's get your recipe out so we can follow along. Real quick, take your broccoli out of the water. You don't want it to get waterlogged. I left mine probably in there too long. I just put it in some cold water just to help cool it down a little bit. And we are going to need a second pan. So give me just a second, because I was sitting there telling a story. I forgot what the heck I was doing here. So where's my second burner? And another pan. Use whatever pan you got. That moved probably on me. I got enough. All right, so we're going to heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. You know how to do the dance. Heat the pan, eat the fat, eat the food. Hey, all right, that's what we're about to do. So let's get out our recipe, and we're going to the pan-seared chicken with mustard cream sauce. It says rub the chicken breast with olive oil, season it with salt and pepper. So here's my chicken. All right, and okay, that pan is nice and smoking hot. So this one has a lot of bacon grease left. So I'm turning the heat down because I'm not quite ready for it. And I'm gonna pour some of that out. I know, it's seems like a sin or something. It's not. It's just, it's too much. Too much. It'll be greasy when we're done. All right, so just get set up here. Can you handle 2 pans? Come on, I know you can do it. All right, so here I've got my chicken. I'm going to go ahead and put a little oil on it. So when I do my proteins, this is one of those take-home skills. On my proteins, I love to do it this way. You'll use a lot less fat, maybe a little healthier that way too. But also, you'll get your stuff seasoned better if you season it right here in the bowl. Salt, pepper, olive, some sort of cooking fat. I'm using olive oil for this one. And what we want to do is get it all mixed well, and make sure you can see the seasoning on the chicken, see where it's at, make sure it's all coated perfectly, and that's what we want to do. So this is what our first step says to do. We rub the chicken breast with olive oil and with salt and pepper, and we're going to sear the chicken breast. So it's going to go in. Let's listen. Okay. There you go. If you don't hear that sizzle, pull your chicken out. Your pan's not hot enough. Okay? Now your chicken will probably stick at first. That's okay. That it's supposed to, because it's covered in moisture, right? But as soon as now, it ain't sticking to anything in this carbon steel pan. All right. I mean, this thing is seasoned like a champ, so I can't get any. I couldn't. I don't know. It'd be a miracle for anything to stick in that pan. That's why cast iron is so amazing. 3 cast iron classes coming up in June. Okay. So I've got my chicken cooking. Now in this other pan, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off for a minute. I'm not ready. Am I ready? Yeah, sure. Let's call an audible. I just feel like we're ready. Let's go ahead and take, I had a little bit of butter left. Where'd my butter go? It's over here. Okay. So I had a little bit of butter left from cooking earlier, from the soufflés. I'm going to put that in and go ahead and put your potatoes in right on that butter. Roll them around. Look at that. Now, this is a big pan, so I might need just a touch more oil on them. Just, or you can put some more butter if you got it. Remember, I've already seasoned them with salt. The salt is already cooked into them, and that's beautiful. Now, just put those potatoes there after they're coated and just let them sit. Okay? Let them sit. Patience. What's the quote, Ted? We made up the other day. Patience is happily waiting or joyously waiting for something to become perfect. Okay? That's patience. You need a little bit of that right now. Let those in there to start getting brown. Right. Oh, not yet. Here, let's check this. So your chicken, if your chicken is sticking, it ain't ready for flipping. Okay? If your chicken is sticking, it ain't ready for flipping. So here's what we're going to do is give it a check now. I said nothing's sticking in this pan. And see that beautiful brown color? That's what we're looking for in the chicken. You want to get a nice sear, but I'm not pulling it off yet. Because when we cook a protein in my classroom, I don't know what you do at home, but in my classroom, when we cook a protein, you only flip it one time. Because see here, look at that. That protein right there, it's hot, it's brown. That sizzling sound is a sound of moisture being pulled out of the chicken by the heat. Right? So you want to make sure you only do that one time. Because right now, that side is nice and hot. You want to look for signs of the white starting to kind of like come up and come around the chicken breast, right? You want to see it kind of come around the chicken breast to know it's about halfway. So I've got 2 pieces that are about halfway. A third is almost there. 4th is definitely there. This guy is a little thicker than the rest. He needs just a second, right? So let's check our, I might use a separate pair of tongs for this one now. All right, let's check our taters. Getting a little pretty brown color on the potatoes. That's what we're looking for. Oh, especially like that one, got a nice golden brown. All right, so just move them around a little bit. It takes time for something to turn brown. That's why we're not going to keep moving them all around. Right, so here's what happens to make something brown. Moisture on both of these. You have moisture involved. So water boils at 212, right? Water boils at 212 degrees. But sugar and food, like this is sugar caramelizing. Starch breaking down into sugars caramelizing. This is called the Maillard reaction. So this is a protein denaturing and having the same kind of reaction. And so the same thing's happening, but it's 2 different chemical processes happening in these 2 different pans. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and flip my chicken. It is ready. My chicken ain't sticking. It's ready for flipping. And as soon as I do that, you hear more sizzling. It's great. But so when water boils at 212, so if there's a lot of moisture around, the temperature stays down. There's a lot of moisture around, the temperature stays down. And you can't brown anything in boiling water. Think about it. You have never put anything in a pot of boiling water and it turned brown. Never happened. Unless the water was colored for some reason. So, but once all the moisture is gone, then the temperature will rise into the caramelization stage at 320 to 340 degrees. Between 320 and 340 is where food sugar is caramelized, and sugar cane caramelized at 347 degrees Fahrenheit. And so once the moisture is gone, the temperature will rise in your food here and start to give you that brown color. So that's beautiful things happening in my pans, and there's a little science behind it. Right. Now my chicken, it's ready for the next step, meaning you're going to take a little bit more oil. I have a little more cooking fat. I put in that open spot there. I'm going to add all of my garlic in one little pile. So I got to stick with me. We're cooking. We're doing 2 pans at the same time. Because while that garlic starts to cook, it's time to take your broccoli and toss it in the other pan. Right? You have all this real estate. Put your broccoli in there. Right? Add some butter if you want butter, or some olive oil if you want that. Turn in my potatoes. We're going to start heating your broccoli up. Beautiful. Try not to break it too much. A little oil on that one. So my garlic is getting all nice and sticky. And then it's in the bottom of this pan, and there's all kinds of bits, brown bits of things, right? There's all kinds of brown bits of things. That's called the fond, and you want it. You want it to become part of your sauce. That's why you're going to take white wine. White wine. Let me get in the right camera there. See it jiggle? See how fast it moves when I jiggle it? Now you're going to put that in there. That's important to know. Because water moves fast, sugar moves slow. Think of a glass of water and honey, or a glass of water and molasses, right? Water moves fast, sugar moves slow. So that's what you want to look for in your pan, okay? Is when all the moisture, the water comes out of the wine, it's going to do 2 things. The acid is going to clean the bottom of the pan, get all that food, the fond, off the bottom of the pan, and create this beautiful sauce in the bottom. But it's also, you're looking for it to slow down. So that means the moisture is gone and you're left with the sugar. So don't cook your wine completely out. You want to keep your wine. You want to keep the sugar and stuff left. My wine is definitely moving slower than I'm shaking it. So the moisture is gone. Doesn't take very long. So when that happens, I want to go ahead and you want to be ready with your chicken stock. Not like me. I'm not ready. But I'm going to go ahead and put my chicken broth in. And go ahead and turn that thing up to high heat. Turn it high heat. That's a lot of chicken broth. That was too much. Pull some of that out. Okay. Turn it up to high heat, and we're going to let that cook down too. It's going to cook our chicken, and it's going to help us make a sauce. All right, my broccoli is heated through, my potatoes. This pan, done. Turn the heat off. Set it aside. Are you with me? That's a lot to do. If you got questions, go ahead and ask them. Right? But now we can chill a little. We can chill for a minute because this has got to cook down. I still have too much. Mine is just too much chicken broth. Who measured that out? It's probably me. It's probably me. So what I should have left is a little cream, mustard, cream, whole grain mustard, I'm going to go ahead and clean my area. Now, I'm looking for the chicken stock to slow down as well. So I need to cook it until it starts to slow down, which seems like it might be a while with the amount that I still have in this pan. But it is what it is right now. So hopefully, y'all, I'm just teaching you how to cook, right? I'm just teaching you how to cook. That's what's happening right now. It's just we're learning cooking principles, cooking skills, and your chicken is getting done while we're making this happen. Getting myself a nice cleaned area to plate up, put this together. I can even go ahead and get my plates out. Okay. That one's got some water spots. I don't like it. Okay, now my chicken broth still needs another 30 seconds or so, but you're gonna get ready because what's gonna go in next is mustard and cream. Mustard and cream. So while I'm waiting, you might as well just go ahead and get this plate ready to go. Put a little broccoli on there. All right. Isn't it pretty on a plate, y'all? Isn't that pretty? When it's long, and you could just do so much with that on a plate. Sometimes the goal in life is not necessarily perfection, but it's being intentional. Because being intentional with your relationships, with your spouse, with your children, with your coworkers, with caring for other people, it's an important thing to just be intentional. And I think even like I think about that when I'm putting a plate together. Like I want to be intentional. Think about like care for the plate, care for the person who's going to eat it by thinking about what's going to happen on the plate before it happens. Now, plate presentation is not my spiritual gift. It's not my cooking gift. It's not even in the realm of gifts that I was given by God, I don't think. But I try, okay? I try. And I love the teaching part, but someone needs to coach me on this one, okay? But I still was thinking about it, kind of thinking about, what's going to happen in the end. I'm going to put my chicken probably right there. That's where I'm going for. So you can see the ends of everything, and you can see everything. So now it's time for the mustard. Mustard is a secret cooking weapon, right? If you put mustard on chicken, mustard on any meat, really, and it just makes it better. A lot of times I'll sear like a pork roast or something, pork tenderloin, get the nice brown on it, and then rub it in mustard and put it in the oven. That's beautiful. Mustard just has this enhancing feature. And a lot of times when you're done, you don't even taste the mustard, but you're going to be like, why is that so amazing? And it was because a little mustard helped that out. So my liquid is reduced. My chicken is definitely done right now. I can tell just by touching it and feeling it. It'll spring just like the souffle in the middle. Then we're going to add our cream. You can add a little bit of cream, a lot of cream, or no cream. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. I want to bring that to a simmer, just so all the flavors come together, like we're going to do in just a minute. We're all going to come together as we put our plates together and share your videos, and we're just going to eat. That sound good? Yeah, sounds good to me too. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. My chicken is done, so I'm going to go ahead and pull a piece out and tuck it right in there. Got this little nibble. This little nibble is just going to go right in the front. Now my sauce, if you like your sauce runny, it's done. If you like it a little thicker, cook it a little longer, right? The more moisture that evaporates, the thicker it will get, right? Why don't you give it a little taste? All right. I tell you what I think I miss most, like, pre-COVID time, I just stick my finger in that thing. But now you got to use a spoon, right? So because if other people are going to, eat it, so. Oh, it's wonderful. Be careful about adding any salt to your sauce before you taste it. You always want to taste things first before you add any salt to it. Because if your chicken broth was salted, you took this much chicken broth and you cooked it down to this much, so the salt will intensify. The water goes away, but the salt will stay. And so instead, you want to taste it first and before you add any salt. Because the goal is not to taste salt. The goal is to taste the cream, is to taste the mustard, a little bit of white wine. But mine needs just a touch of salt and pepper, and mine is about ready to go on the plate. Turn my heat off. My tongs make a great little scoop. Now, if you're counting calories like I do, that's probably plenty of sauce. If you're like, this is my calorie-free day, then you just put another one on there. Just go like that. Just put another one on there. Put a couple more on there. You know, there's dinner. How'd you do? I know you might not be quite done yet, but you know what? It's a miracle. We ended at a good time. A lot of times this mouth talks a lot, tells a lot of stories, and we go way over. But tonight, just perfect. Just perfect. So think about this right now. You've got like 17 minutes left. Head over to erlanger.org/bash, bid on an auction item, throw in a donation. If you had a great time, you know what? Show your love by a little bit of donation, because it's going to help people, right? It's going to help the healthcare workers, and so you might as well. And also, just gather your family. I know some of the kids probably they probably tuned in for a little bit, maybe they tuned out for a little bit, but this is the time that's important. Bring them to the table, have a meal together, and just show your love to each other over food. What I love about cooking is it's the oldest type of fellowship and community, and so together, we can't be physically together, but we can still pull up a chair and we can eat in community tonight. So when your food's on your plate, if you just want to join us, let's basically all set the table, right? Raise your hand. Let's share your video. Even if you're not done, raise your hand, share your video. Move your iPad, your whatever, your Galaxy Note, whatever it is, and move it into a spot where you can sit down at the table and we can just commune and eat together. All right? So I'll give you all a couple minutes. If you got questions, I'm right here. And if you need anything, just ask.